19. In a call center setting, someone approached me to report an unusual amount of pubic hair scattered on the flat surface of the urinal in the men's restroom. When I checked, I found an alarming amount of hair there. Disgusting and clearly placed intentionally. I cleaned it off using a paper towel, thoroughly washed my hands, and went about my day. A couple of hours later, I was informed that the pubic hair had reappeared. Though not as much as the first time, it was still far too much to have ended up there naturally. Another manager and I suspected a particular individual, but could only gather indirect evidence, not enough to directly accuse him. After it happened a third time, I'd had enough. I called all the male staff into the boardroom and addressed them collectively, warning that the unacceptable behavior needed to stop immediately and that severe consequences would follow for the person caught. During the meeting, I repeatedly made eye contact with the primary suspect. It never happened again. To this day, I'm amazed that I had to deal with something so bizarre, but that's call center life for you. Once, while working the drive-thru, someone threw a drink at me through the window. That's a particularly poor decision when you're facing someone who is standing in front of a shelf full of drinks meant for the customers behind them. A close runner-up, we had a guy rob our gas station repeatedly for about a month using a finger gun. Everyone was fully aware it was just his finger, but we still had to comply since it was technically a robbery. He eventually got caught. I install flooring and was working on the third floor of a newly constructed house. While I was installing flooring in an upstairs bathroom, framers were scheduled to repair the staircase leading from the ground level to the second floor. Unbeknownst to me, there was no communication between the teams, and when I went downstairs to grab something, I discovered there was no downstairs at all. The framers had completely removed the staircase without checking if anyone was still on the upper floors. I ended up stuck on the second floor until someone brought a ladder to help me down. I used to work as a personal assistant for a billionaire. When COVID hit, she still wanted me to come into work at her home, but didn't want me using public transit to get there. Her solution? She bought her neighbor's house, so I wouldn't risk bringing the virus into her residence. For over a year, I worked alone in a massive 6,000 square foot house next door to hers. As a nanny, I've had some strange requests from employers. One boss asked if I would consider inducing lactation to nurse her current child and the one she was expecting. She even shared my number with a lactation consultant. Another time, when I was just 14 and working as a babysitter, a parent actually gave me a spanking. That experience was absolutely insane. Working in the funeral industry means encountering bizarre situations almost daily. For instance, today I had to search for a bullet inside a body bag because the medical examiner's list of the deceased's personal effects included ammunition X1. Since the body was being prepared for cremation, it was crucial to remove the bullet. Explosions in a crematorium are obviously a major hazard. I spent 20 minutes carefully searching the bag, the clothing, pockets, shoes, and even under the body. I even shone a flashlight into the hole where the face used to be, thinking it might still be lodged in the head. Finally, I called the medical examiner's office to ask if they had the bullet. The person who answered checked with the morgue and confirmed, "Yep, we always take and keep the bullets." So why include it in the personal effects list as if it was still with the body? This job is weird, y'all. My wife suffered a miscarriage while I was at work. I left immediately to take her to the hospital and support her through it. When I returned to work the next day, I was written up for leaving. I work at a library, and it's astonishing how often people show up without their library card and then refuse to provide ID so I can verify their account. All I'm trying to do is confirm their identity. One time, a mentally ill woman told me that Osama bin Laden wanted to steal shoes from the artist formerly known as Prince. I spent a few years working as a tour guide in Central America. Here's a brief rundown of some experiences. Frequently bribed border officials, and those bribes could actually be filed in my expense reports. One passenger accepted drugs from a stranger in El Salvador but apparently didn't pay. The dealer showed up at our hotel late at night demanding money. I ended up paying him to leave. Had to bail a passenger out of jail in Belize. Evacuated a tour group from Honduras in 2009 due to a coup and the ensuing lockdown and curfew. Relocated a group from Belize ahead of a hurricane that never actually hit. We moved a guy from the tour in Guatemala for being an unbearable jerk. The entire group, including me, got food poisoning on Ometepe Island in Nicaragua. Ooh, what a blast! On another occasion in Guatemala, I personally got food poisoning and had to explosively relieve myself on the roadside in front of my group. Was woken up multiple times by frantic knocks on my door from girls asking me to find a morning after pill for them, not due to my actions. A couple decided mid-town to get a divorce but insisted on finishing the trip. They fought publicly in front of the group every day. Some passengers reported seeing another guest with suspiciously young-looking prostitutes. Dealt with a mentally ill passenger who began self-harming during the trip. Got deported from Canada. One guest visited a sketchy strip club alone and woke up with pink eye the next day. Had a passenger so afraid of local food that she packed a duffel bag full of protein bars and ate only those. By the fourth day, she was complaining of severe stomach pain, and her flatulence was so bad it seemed like it could peel paint off the bus walls. I had to help her find a McDonald's or similar so she'd eat something normal. Visited countless UNESCO sites and world wonders while either hungover or still drunk. Tour group members frequently hooked up with each other, their friends, locals, random travelers, whitewater rafting guides and tour guides. Tour guides hooked up with other guides, locals and passengers. You get the idea. And so much more. If you're curious or want to hear other stories, feel free to ask.